What if the soft thing you let into your home, the one that blinks like you, breathes like you, wasn't blinking or breathing at all? I am Gus. Gray stripes, thick whiskers, a nick on my nose where a foolish Tom once learned about borders. This place smells like me. Sofa, rug, warm laps, the clean shape of my bowl. My human is Ellen. Her hands smell of soap and paper and the outside. I patrol, I nap, I listen to the house hum. The wet came from the sky. Ellen opened the big door, and the cold outside climbed into the hall. She bent and lifted a shape that dripped. Fur, ears, a tail. Her voice softened in the way that makes my chest rumble without permission. "You're safe now," she said. My tail grew thick. Safe? In my house? I went forward with my whiskers first, drawing the air around the new shape. Wet cloth, the sharpness of street water, cold metal from the door's handle pressed into fur. But there was no fur smell beneath the wet, only the rain. It sat on the hall rug with paws tucked neatly like a picture. Its eyes were ponds, dark, still, round. I waited for the lids to come. They did not come. I gave the proper sound, a short hiss that says, "This is mine, and that is mine, and also that light patch on the floor is mine." Nothing. No ear twitch, no tail question mark, no answering sound. Ellen carried the shape to the warm room and wrapped it in a towel that smelled of sun. She rubbed gently until the wet smell was less and the cloth smell was more. "Poor baby," she said. I put my chin on the coffee table and watched with a narrow eye. A small dish appeared beside my bowl, bright with meat smell. I ate mine with slow dignity, the way a ruler eats when a rival is looking. The other dish waited. The meat smell grew into air and then faded. It remained full. The lamps browned the room. Ellen's steps grew soft and even. The pattern that means sleeping is near. I chose the top of the chair by the window and watched the new shape from high ground. It was a cat in the way a picture is a cat. Ears, tail, paws, the lines right where they should be, but lines cannot purr. When the house's hum thinned and the night pressed its cool nose to the glass, I did the thing that always tells me the truth about a creature. I listened for the engine under the ribs. I heard the refrigerator. I heard the water whisper in the pipes. I heard the far, thin electricity in the walls. I did not hear the new shape. The sun came and left and came again. Ellen put her bag down, took it up, put it down. The kettle sang its shrill bird twice, then many times. The small dish stayed quiet. The sandy box in the corner stayed smooth. The picture cat sat and sat and watched my human with those pond eyes that forgot to close. I tested its edges, I circled wide, leaving my whiskers against table legs and corners, repainting what is mine. When it walked, there were no tiny thumps from soft pads. The air did not move the way air moves around a body. It arrived at places. It did not go to them. It liked the doorways, the places where one smell becomes another. It would sit facing the crack under the bedroom door, as if the thin blackness there was a face to be studied. When Ellen stood up, the picture cat turned its head as if attached by an invisible string to the hinge, not to the human. Once, I found it in the hallway, body forward, head turned so far back that my whiskers tingled. It watched the corner where the ceiling meets the wall, the place spiders make their small art. The air there had the cold green smell of stones where water lives. I stared at the corner, too. It stared back.
I told Ellen with my whole body, tail beating, voice stretched thin and urgent. She laughed and scratched the place where my ear fits her fingers. "Jealous old man," she said, and lifted the picture cat to her chest. The towel smell pressed against her shirt. The pond eyes stayed open against the soft of her neck. The bright square on the wall went dark. The lamps made warm puddles on the floor. The house settled, slow breaths, wood shifting like big sleeping animals. The picture cat sat in the bedroom doorway and faced the bed. I took the floor, low, belly fur brushing the cool, so my bones spoke quiet. I slid near with the movement I learned when mice still lived here. When I was close, I waited for the small flinch creatures cannot hide. The ear listening to me, the whisker learning me. The ear did not move, the whiskers did not taste me. I unrolled my sound and leapt. My paws found pelt and skin. No, not skin. Something smooth that gave under claw without giving heat. My teeth took the throat place where life hums. I waited for the wild drum. I waited for the hiss, the kick. The mouth filled with nothing. The pond eyes were close to mine, too close. Huge circles that did not show the room the way eyes show rooms. They showed the kitchen where my human had stood earlier, the slow way her hand had reached for the cup, the bend of her shoulders when she looked at the window. It was as if my bite opened a door and I was looking out from inside those eyes at her, not here at all. I pushed harder. My claws said, "Move, bleed, answer." The body under me felt like a stuffed thing made to teach kittens where to pounce. A shape-sized truth with the inside missing. Then the head turned, without the rest agreeing. It turned and turned until the pond was all there was, and a weight pressed into my skull. Not from air, not from paw, but from a place behind the eyes. Not you. My legs bent without me telling them to. The floor slid under my back. Puffed, bed skirt brushed my nose. By the time my tail remembered to be large, the picture cat had already put itself where it had been, facing the bed, guarding. I retreated to the closet smell, where shoes sleep, and watched the doorway through the lit crack. The lamps thinned and the window glass became a dark mirror where a cat I did not like peered back. My head stayed low, the thump in my chest spoke fast, until the house made it slow again. when the pale light returned to the window and the birds outside made their small needle sounds, I came out to count without numbers. Bowls, mine empty. New bowl, still a full moon. Sandy box, smooth as a pond without wind. Rug, the spot where my leap began, still flattened. The picture cat began to trace the house in lines I could smell. It would arrive at the hallway mouth and stop until the radiator clicked. It would appear at the kitchen threshold and hold the position until the kettle began its scream. It would sit at the foot of the stairs, staring up until the front door's lock made its metal throat sound and Ellen's smell blew in. It was learning the exact places where things change. Sometimes it turned its still face to a place, and the place answered. The air at a corner would grow heavy and green cold, like the inside of a stone. The hair along my spine would stand up in a neat row all the way to the base of my tail. I would look into the same place, and something I could not put my eyes on would be there, the way a smell can be in a room without a source. Ellen tried to coax food sounds from the picture cat. Can crack, spoon against dish, the wet fold and plop that makes my mouth water even when I pretend that it does not. The picture cat did not move toward it. The head turned almost, then stopped, like a leash had tightened on nothing. She lifted it, pressed it near the dish, set it down, stepped back. Those pond eyes looked through the meat, through the dish, through the floor. When the sky dimmed again and the street smell crept low along the door crack, the picture cat went to the window it chose on the first wet night. Not any window, always that one. It sat with its body arranged like statues of old hunters, tail laid just so, and stared at the black between the trees. I climbed to the back of the chair and followed the line of its face outward. At first there were only the usual evening things: leaf scent, damp wood, a far car laying a ribbon of burnt rubber breath across the night. Then something large moved without moving. The dark changed its shape as if pressed from the other side by the side of a sleeping giant. Two pieces of night opened in the night. Not the bright fierce of the fast things people drive, not the chilled pricks that live too high for pause. These were wet black and patient. They looked in. The picture cat's tail made a single, careful line through the air. My whiskers quivered as if a tiny wind had breathed past just them and not the rest of me. The smell of deep green stone poured thinly into the room, like water finding a crack. I understood a stupid, simple thing. The window is not only for looking.
After many bowls, many kettles, many naps, the pattern grew and settled into the house like a new rug. Daylight. The picture cat visited thresholds, turned its head to empty corners, waited until the refrigerator coughed, then moved to the next mouth of a room. Night dark. It went to the chosen window and became a stone facing the forest shape. The forest shape looked back. Once, when the moon laid a coin on the floor and Ellen's breathing in the bedroom was a slow tide, the picture cat's mouth opened. No sound came out, but the air pressed against my ears until they flattened. My whiskers felt words without hearing them. Open. I slid down from the chair and touched the glass with my nose. Cold. Damp. The thin taste of outside metal. On the other side, those patient holes in the dark widened, not like eyes widen, but like caves do when something inside takes a long breath. I went to my sandy box and wrote my name there again with a careful kick, the way I do when I need to be sure that I exist. Then I lay with my body between the window and the bed where my human sleeps. I watched the picture cat until my own eyes closed without my consent and opened again with a little jerk. Ellen began to see edges of what I saw. It happened when the kettle screamed and she lifted it too fast. Water-bead smell wove itself with the cloth of her sleeve and she froze in the kitchen doorway. Her eyes went to the chosen window without her telling them to. The picture cat was already there. The skin at her throat made a swallow movement all by itself. "Gus?" she said, but it was not a calling sound. It was a question with no mouth around it. I rubbed my cheek hard against her calf, printing the safety smell. The picture cat did not turn its head. The window did not fog with breath. The outside did not blink. When the bright square on the wall played moving light one evening, the picture cat sat too close to it, facing the doorway instead. On the square, Ellen's face smiled from an old memory, the way she smiles at me when I pretend not to care about the red dot and then leap. The pond eyes reflected nothing of that moving light. They held the kitchen again, my human's hand on the counter, the slow tilt of her head toward the window, as if the moment had been swallowed whole and was being shown back from inside the eye. I crept close until the tips of my whiskers tasted the skin of its cheek. The touch was the wrong temperature, cool where warm should live, dry where breath should soften. Beneath the face, there was not the busy music all bodies make. There was empty room pretending to be full. I thought of taking it by the scruff again, dragging it to the door, scratching wood so Ellen understood. But the memory of that weight pressed inside my skull like a heavy paw on my head. "Not you." The words had no voice and still left a bruise. So I did old things. I sat on papers when Ellen looked at them so she would look at me instead. I placed gifts at the bedroom door, the thin silver fish from the bowl she forgets to cover, the toy with bells that speak when stepped on. I tied myself in loops around her legs when she went near the chosen window, a living knot she had to step out of. The picture cat only arranged itself more perfectly, as if showing the exact shape for some eye far away to measure. One night, the house went quiet in a way I had not felt since the thunder took the lights a long nap ago. The little sound stopped, the clock's tiny tongue, the fridge's low animal, the wire's insect hiss. The quiet wasn't empty, it was full of listening. The picture cat stood, not like a cat stands, with that stretch that starts in the claws and ends in the tail tip. It stood like a thought stands up in a head. The mouth shaped a shape without air. Open. The window latch twitched, only a little, only the kind of movement a breeze could lie about. But there was no breeze. The curtains hung like sleeping wings. I leapt and hit the glass with both paws. The cold bit my pads. A hairline buzz ran into my bones as if the glass were humming a secret. I raked and shouted the biggest sound a throat my size can make. Ellen woke with the sound humans make when they forget where their body is. She stumbled in, her feet tangling in the blanket smell, hair wild with sleep. "Gus?" She grabbed me, firm and warm. The window latch settled back, the smallest finger width. The picture cat's head eased from the glass like a magnet losing interest. The two patient holes in the dark narrowed, but did not leave. Ellen shut the latch hard, slid the heavy thing into the track, pulled the curtain with a sound like paper tearing. She turned on all the lamps. The house filled itself with safe yellow. She held me until my chest forgot its drum and remembered its purr. Her heart beat against my ribs in a language I know. She did not pick up the picture cat. When she finally slept again, it took the high place on the dresser where it could see both the door and the window between curtain threads. I took the floor between the bed and the glass and did not blink for a long time.
Morning smells came. Bread, coffee, the sweet dust of the dry sun, and the house's tiny tongues started up again. The picture cat resumed its day watching of mouths, edges, cracks, as if the night had only been a lesson. Ellen moved through rooms with a new stiffness at the neck, a way of seeing the window without turning to it. I groomed until my coat sang with the clean oil smell that says, "Mine, mine, mine." And then I found the place where the weight in the air is always thickest, the corner at the top of the stairs. I stared until my eyes watered, and the corner stared back. In the corner, something shaped itself into where a head would be, if a head were a place. I lowered my head and made the sound I save for creatures that do not respect fences. The house listened. The corner listened. The picture cat turned its pond and held me in it, and for a breath I saw not stairs, not carpet, not dust motes, but my human's back as she stood by the sink, the lift of her shoulder blades when she shivered, and beyond her into the window the two patient holes widening like a mouth before the bite. I understood another simple thing. The picture cat is not here to live. It is here to point and to remember. Now the pattern is carved. When light is tall in the window, it arranges itself at the mouths of rooms and listens to hinges and hums. When light is thin, it takes the chosen window and holds still for the forest-sized thing that never fully fits between the trees. The window answers with small clicks when Ellen is not listening. I keep watch the old way, body between my human and the cold glass, cheek marking every leg of every chair until the whole house smells like my name. I do not sleep deep. My ears tip forward at nothing and find something. I count with bowls, I count with kettles, I count with the times my tail forgets to be brave and then remembers. Tonight the curtain breathes, though the window is shut. The chosen latch quivers and dreams. The picture cat has made its mouth the shape of a word again. Open. Ellen is asleep. Her breath washes my ears warm and safe. Beyond the glass, the knot eyes are closer than before. I feel them not with sight, but with the way my whiskers hum against the air. Something enormous is trying to learn how to fit through a small square by watching a small copy of a cat watch it. I am Gus. I have kept mice from bread, and moths from wool, and strangers from my sun patch. I will keep this too, if keeping is possible. But the window has started to dream of being a door, and the picture cat has learned the exact sound a latch makes before it forgets it is closed. If the glass opens, it will not be because a hand moved it. It will be because the house answered a word it did not know it could hear. I lay my body against the seam where inside kisses outside and feel the cold think about coming in. I blink slow at the picture cat, the way cats say peace, and receive in return a stare that remembers my human better than I do. The latch trembles. The curtain lifts like a breath held too long. The pond eyes widen without lids. Something on the other side leans closer, and the dark bends around its face. I put my paw on the latch. The metal is cold, like river stone pulled from shadow. My claws slip into the thin groove and hold. Behind me, Ellen turns in sleep and says my name the way she does when she wants me on the bed. I do not move. I keep my paw where a door would begin to happen. The picture cat opens its mouth again, and the room fills without sound. Open. I do not let go. The night leans. The house listens. The latch thinks. And somewhere beyond the trees, something too large to enter waits to learn how. It is patient. I am not. I will wait until my whiskers ache. I will wait until the pond eyes finally blink. If they blink, and if they never do, I will still be here, paw on the seam, listening to the window practice being a mouth.